Right. What's a dedicated device? I'm going to start with people at the back there. What is the definition of a dedicated device? One user. It's a device that can only be used by one user only at any time. When that user finishes, another user can use it. What about a shareable device? Oh, a device that can be used by many users, right? Wrong. Yeah, see, you're missing just that word at the same time. So it can be used by many people, more than one, at the same time. That's the difference between dedicated and shareable. If all our devices are shareable, we will never have a deadlock. Because that's one of the conditions. What is that condition for a deadlock about devices? That devices should be mutually, if they are mutually exclusive, that means they're dedicated, only used by one user at a time, then that's one of the conditions. Can we get rid of that condition? There's a technique. For example, could you ever imagine a printer being used by more than one user? The printer is the best example of a dedicated device. It can never be shared at the same time by more than one user. You can't print two reports on one piece of paper at the same time by a printer. So, but we can, and this is the trick they have. We turn, okay, so first we look at the definition. What do we call a device that normally it's dedicated? It should only be used by one user, but somehow we turn it into a shareable device. Is there a name for that device? We talked about it first week. Okay, nobody remembers. Guys, I think you need to check your main memory. The device is called virtual device. So if I ask you what is a virtual device, it's a device that normally, by its nature, it's a dedicated device that only allows one user. That means it only allows one user at a time, but somehow we make it work by actually allowing a number of users. Or it appears to be. It's not in reality. That's why they use the word virtual. Anytime you hear the word virtual, that means it's not exactly, not real. Okay, so virtual device is a device that normally is mutually exclusive device or a dedicated device, but we can use it as if it was a shareable device. So how can we do that? Imagine if we have a printer. Here's a printer, and there are a number of users here. Process 1, process 2, process 3, so many processes. They all want to send print request. This one has a sheet of paper, this one wants to print 10 sheets of paper. But anyway, there are requests. The printer can only print one of them. That's normal. Usually, whoever gets the printer first will start printing. Another one comes in, the printer is busy, then you have to join a queue. You wait. That's normal for dedicated devices. But this waiting is what causes the start of a deadlock. Whenever we have in our system waiting, that means somebody's wait, maybe another wait can develop into a circular wait, we have a deadlock. That's one of the conditions. So can we get rid of this? Yeah. And they use a technique called spooling. I don't know if you've heard of that. This stands for, spooling stands for simultaneous printing online, operation online. Simultaneous printing operation online. That means many devices can print at the same time. They just took the first character and they made this word, spooling. There's nothing to do with the spool. It's just the characters. So, and what's the spooling? Spooling is a program that will manage the printing. So your request does not go to the printer, it goes to this process that we call the spooler. This is the one that kind of will manage the printer, basically. But all it does, anytime you send a request, you don't have to wait. It takes your page or 2 pages or whatever, and it puts it in memory. So it's like it has lots of memory, and you say, right, this is your request. I put it in memory. I don't send it to the printer directly. And then the next job, so this is print job number 1, this is job number 2, printing, and this is job number 3. We use buffer. We use main memory, part of main memory, and we tell the process. See, the process sends a request in a millionth of a second. But if the printer is busy, they have to wait minutes. Remember, from millionth of a second to minutes, that's like the difference between a year and 10,000 years. So, but now we take the print job into memory, and we tell the printer, yes, we printed your work. In fact, we haven't even printed it. We haven't even started printing. But we took it into memory, and we told the process we printed. If you're waiting for the page to be printed, keep going. It's printed. Kind of we tell it a lie. We don't tell the truth. And then this spooler that we have, the program that's called the spooler, I'll put it somewhere in control here. The spooler will take one of these jobs and send it to the printer. Only one. And when this one finishes printing, it will take the next one. It will print them one after the other. But the processes, it's like maybe you go to a bank and you don't queue. They say, what do you want to do? Lodge money? Okay, just leave it for us here. They put it, say, okay, consider it lodged. Go. You don't have to wait. And then we lodge it at our own time. So that's exactly what spooling is. Information is taken to be printed, is stored by the spooler in memory. Because it's so fast, memory, and we tell the printer, okay, your job is done. You've printed. We have printed your paper. So the process goes back and continue processing. It never has to wait. And that's such a speed we save time for these jobs. Even though printing will happen later. And sometimes the job number 2 finished. That was the last thing, is to print those 3 sheets. It used to wait for maybe 20 seconds for those to be printed. Now we tell you they're printed, it leaves. So the process is completed and its output has not even been sent to the printer. Right? So this is called spooling. And this makes the printer, to these processes, appears like it's a shareable, because they never get any delay. I send you lots of pages to print, everybody behind me will be delayed. No, you take the page and say, okay, we printed them, go. So I don't even have to wait. So that's exactly like a shared device. A shared device, you're never delayed, you're never told no. Like, for example, we want to watch a TV. We have a big room, a shareable room. Anytime you walk in and watch TV. Nobody's going to stop you. But if you want to use, let's say we only have one phone, and you want to make calls, so then there may be other people making calls, so you have to wait. Queue. That's the difference between shareable and mutually exclusive, or non-shareable. So, spooling is a technique that's used to turn the printer from a dedicated device into a virtual device. It's not 100% shareable, but it appears as if it's shareable. So that's why we call the printer, now if we use spooling, it turns it into a virtual device. So if you're asked, give an example, how can we make a device, a dedicated device, appear like it's shareable? This is a good example, spooling. Right. Name another condition for a deadlock. Who was here last? Conditions required for a deadlock. Conditions required for a deadlock. Circular weight, another condition. Hold and wait, another condition. Okay, so the first condition, this condition that we can solve it using spooling. What's that condition? Mutual exclusion. These are the 4 conditions required. Guys, remember this, you need to know this. In order for deadlock to happen, there have to be 4 conditions in our system. It's like in a country. What happens if the country collapses? There may be few conditions. If the economy goes bad, if whatever it is. So if these 4 conditions happen, it's definitely you're going to have that problem. We're going to have the deadlock problem. There are 4 conditions. If the 4 of them must happen in order for deadlock to happen. One of them is mutual exclusive devices or exclusion. If the devices, the resources we use cannot be shared, then that's one condition. That's called mutual exclusion. What's the second condition? Name the second condition. Say again?
Non-preemptive.
Non-preemptiveness. What's non-preemptiveness? Can you explain non-preemptiveness? What does it mean? Who can explain non-preemptiveness? You need to be able to, you need to know those conditions, each one of them, and you need to be able to explain it. And how to, what the idea to get rid of it. But what's preemptiveness? Non-preemptiveness, what does it mean? Say again? The system will never interrupt a process and take the resource away from it. That's what we mean non-preemptiveness. What's preemptive system? The opposite. What's a preemptive system? Any idea? Preemptive system? A preemptive system is a system where we can interrupt a process and take away the resource. That's what preemptive. Non-preemptive, we will never interrupt you and take away something that you have, a resource that you have, until you finish with it and you give it up. Remember, you need to know, you need to understand it. If you don't understand these things, you will not understand deadlock or how to solve it. So that's just another condition. Third condition, hold and wait. Hold the resource and go into a wait state while you're waiting on another resource. Let's say you need 2 things. You need these 2 to work. You got this one. Now you want that one. That one is not available. Of course, the normal thing, you have to wait. Are you holding this, the first one that you have, while you're waiting on the other? If you're allowed to do that in our system, that is another step closer to deadlock. That's another condition. If in a system we say, no, you cannot wait while holding this resource. You have one resource, you want the other one? If that one is not available, don't go waiting holding this. Release this. And then go waiting. That means you don't hold and wait. But if we allow you to hold the resource and wait for another resource, that's another step to closer to deadlocks. Finally, circular wait. Now, how do we get rid of circular wait? I mean, how could you get rid of circular wait? Circular wait is just something that seems to happen randomly. You need a resource, you need another resource. Oh, you have the resources with another process somewhere else. So how can we say, hey, you're not guys allowed to go into waiting in a circle? How can that be done? And that's done quite simply. I explained it before many times, but guys, I keep explaining it. So, first, how do we get rid of this condition, the mutual exclusion? How can we turn our devices, dedicated devices, into shareable devices? Do you have any idea how can we do that? How can we turn a printer that's normally a dedicated device, a mutually exclusive device? How can we turn it into a device that can be shared? Spooling. So that's the idea of spool, right? So if you're asked that question, the solution for that, oh, spooling will solve the problem. Of course, it will not solve everything, but at least some devices make them appear as if they are shareable. And what do we call a device that's normally dedicated, but we make it appear as if it's shareable? What do we call that device? A virtual device. So the printer, we turn the printer from a dedicated device into a virtual device. Circular weight. How can we stop circular weight? Right, let's say you have lots of resources. Resource 1, resource 2, resource 3, resource 4. Of course, in every system there are lots of resources. It could be files, could be hard disks, printers, scanners, whatever it is. Like in a kitchen, you can have knives, and you can have plates, you can have forks, mixers, whatever, all the tools, the resources that are available. And then these are the processes that come in. This process needs, this process 1, it needs resource 5 and resource 2. This process number 2 needs resource 2 or 1 and resource 4, and so on. But if they need the same resource, let's say this one also needs 5, 2, and 1, and this one needs resource 1, 4, and 5. This is how deadlock can happen. We might even have another process, but it's just enough with those two. So we have two processes. Here's process 1 and process 2. Process 1 needs resource 5. So it goes for resource 5, gets it. So that's good. This one here, process 2, needs resource 1. So resource 1 is free, we allocate it to it. Then this one needs resource, process number 1 asks for resource number 2, so it gets resource number 2. This one needs number 4. This one now says, I need number 5. Process 1 says, process number 1 needs resource 1. So this one wants resource 1, it can't have it. So you remember, if a process is pointing at something, it says, I want that, I want that. That's the idea of the arrows. If the arrow is going from the process to the resource, it's like, I want that calculator or that mobile phone. So this is, I'm requesting. If the arrow is going from the resource to the process, what does that mean? How do you read this? Did we not talk about this? What's the word used? If the arrow is going from the resource 4 and process 2. What's the word missing here? Allocated. So there are only two words. Request. If the arrow is going from the process, if you forget, consider the process a person. A human being, they say, point at something. You go to the shop, we ask a child, what do you want? And they look at the ice cream. I want that. So it's the person requesting a resource. So if the arrow is going from the process to the resource, that means it's request. The resource, the printer will never ask for you or for any process. It's the processes that ask for printers, request printers. So the word is either request or allocated. So if the arrow is going from the resource, when we read this, we must always start at the tail of the arrow and go to the head of the arrow. You must say resource 5 in this one. How do you read this? You say resource 5 is allocated to process 1. You have to always read from the, in this case here, this one here, you can't start at resource 1. Don't say resource 1 is needed by process 1. No, you must start at the tail. You say process 1 is requesting resource 1. And these are the statements you need to write in an exam if you are describing this situation. Right, so now let's finish just the last thing. Process number 2 needs resource 5. Can we give it to process 2? No, it's already given to process 1, allocated to process 1. So this one will just keep requesting, but it's not available, and therefore it has to wait. Now this one is waiting now. What is it waiting for? Waiting for resource 5. What's this one here is waiting? That's waiting as well, and it's waiting on resource 1. Remember, this one has resource 5, and it needs, and has resource 2, those two here, but it doesn't have resource 1. It's waiting. Is there a deadlock here? Normally, if you can form a circle, that means there is a deadlock. So, and you can, as you can see here, if we start at process 1, follow the arrow to resource 1, and then from resource 1, we follow the arrow to process 2, follow it to resource 5, and back to resource 1, or to process 1. We come back to the same point. That means that's a circular wait. When we say circular wait, we don't necessarily mean a circle. But it means if you follow, trace the allocations, you bring you back to the same point where you started from. If you have that, that means there is a deadlock. There's a circular wait, which means there is a deadlock. Now, this circular wait happens here, and there's a deadlock. How can we stop the deadlock from happening? They said, let's eliminate circular wait. How can we stop circular wait? There's a simple idea. The simple idea to stop a circular wait is to order all the resources. If the resources in a list, all resources, put the resources in an ordered list. Any order, doesn't matter. Just as I have them here, ordered based on the number or the name. Resource 1, resource 2, 3. We have a list. Or in a kitchen, you have the forks first, and then knives, and then the heavy stuff at the bottom of the list, maybe. Now, any request, any process, it must take the resources on the priority based on the list. Any process must request its resources according to list order. What does that mean? It means you don't just order resources randomly as you like. Let's see how we can do it, and maybe we can solve, we make sure there's no circular wait. And if we can remove circular wait, then we'll never have deadlocks. This is probably the easiest to do. So, let's go to process 1. It needs a number of resources. The point is, for example, if you need 3 and 5, don't take 5 first, you must take 3 first. Take them on some order, and everybody stick to that order. So you can put all your lists in one order in the system. So guys, anybody who wants anything, any 2 or 3 resources, take the higher one first, and then the next one. That way we'll never have a deadlock. Does that work? Let's try it. Here's process number 1. It needs resource 5, 2, and 1. And that's how we took them earlier on. We took 5 and then 2 and 1. No, it says, according to this list, you must get 1 first. Only if you have 1, then go and get the next one. And only if you get that one, you go and get the following one. So let's say this one asks for 1, it's free, it gets, let's say at the same time, this guy comes in. It needs 1, 4, and 5. They're already ordered. Go get 1 first. You can't get 4 or 5 first. Process number 2 goes to get 1. It can't get it. It's pointing at, I want that. that's already given to process one, then you must wait. This guy waits. He cannot go and get number 4 until he gets number 1 first. Okay, so that's the way so this is a request and the resource is not available. So now, but process number 1 got resource 1, then go and get resource 2. Go and ask for resource 2, you get it. Now you get resource 5. Is it free? Yes, it is. While process number 2 is waiting on its first resource, got stuck right at the start. But what did we do? Process number 1 has everything it needs. It doesn't have to wait anymore. It has all the resources. And if you have everything you need, then you're going to finish. Nothing's going to stop you, except time. You either finish in 1 millionth of a second, or maybe 100 millionths of a second, or maybe even 5 seconds. It doesn't matter. You will finish. So, and when you finish, you will release these resources, so that resource becomes free, and this resource becomes free. Like the process finishes, it gives up all its resources, they become free. Now when the operating system finds resource 1 is free, it will give it to process 2 and say, okay, now you can wake up, you've been sleeping for a while, now we're going to give you that resource free number 1. And then this process 2 says, okay, give me number 4 now. Is it free? Yes, it is. Give me number 5. Is it free? Yeah. And now it gets all the resources it needs, and it will finish. Very simple idea that allows processes to get all the resources they need in a specific order. If all the resources are put in a certain order, and everybody knows the rule, the protocol in our system, guys, if you need any 2 or 3 or 4 resources, don't just get them, request them randomly. Get the highest in the list first, and then the next and the next. That way, you'll never get rid of it. You'll never have it at all. Okay, so you need to remember this. If you're asked, how can we get rid of the circular weight? That's a simple and an easy way to get rid of circular weight. So that's one condition, and that's how to remove it from our system. That's one condition. Mutual exclusion. How do we get rid of mutual exclusion? Spooling. So just remember what spooling is. Anybody remembers what it stands for? What's SPOO? It's simultaneous printing operation online. Simultaneous print operation online. That means it gives you the impression we're all printing. Like you and I, we go to the printer 1 millisecond apart. You leave 10 pages and I leave 5 pages. The system goes back and says, yeah, we finished printing. So we have to go. We don't have to wait. Even though they're not printed. They're in memory. But they won't be printed. The printer is buzzing away, printing at its own speed. But we don't delay the rest of the processes. That's a great thing. Because spooling, it does 2 things. It makes you feel everything is shareable, and it also reduces the delay. The CPU doesn't sit and wait, do nothing, or the process doesn't stay asleep until all the pages are printed. Non-preemptive or hold and wait. Both, they can be sorted out using this next technique. Anybody has any idea? How can we stop hold and wait? Why can we tell a process, of course you can't take away a resource from a process. Let's go with non-preemptive. How can we do something to eliminate this issue of having to take away resources from processes? Because if you take away printer from me while halfway I'm printing, give it to someone else, it's just going to cause more problems. But we can say, listen guys, in our system, we do not allow you to hold and wait. We will not take your resources, but yet, if you're waiting or using them, we will not delay it, or we will not interrupt you and take them from you. So, what they suggest here to solve this problem completely, they say, anytime you run your process, you have to tell us in advance What resources do you need? How many printers do you need and how many files and all that? Tell us now. And remember at the very start that the initial state, the starting state of a process, it tells us, if it gives us all the files it needs, normally that's what in programming languages a lot of the time is to have to declare the files. I'm going to open the following files at the start of the program. So we know exactly what you're going to order. You can't halfway through the program in the older days, you say, okay, now I want to open another file. No, you need to tell us which files you need to open in advance, or if you need a printer or two in advance. So, declare, each process needs to declare resources needed, all resources required, needed. At the start, we will not let you start executing unless we have all your resources. We get them all. If they're not available, we say, no, wait now. And then when we have all the resources you need, for example, you need 5 resources, you'll wait when all resources are available, and wait, of course, here, wait at the start. But when all is available, are available, go ahead, run. That's another simple idea. Whatever you need, tell us about it now. For example, if you're going to fix something, you want to do, maybe you want to repair your bike, okay? Then you start repairing it and say, oh, I need to go and buy a tube. I don't have one, the tube is gone. So you go to the shop, buy one, bring it in. And then the chain is broken, you go to the shop. And that's wasting a lot of time. Each time you go for something you need. Tell us in advance what you need. You check the bike and say you need 4 things that are broken. Oh, we don't have them all, well then don't touch the bike. Don't start your work operation. When we go buy them, get them all together, we say, right, we have all the things you need, now you can start work. We will never interrupt you because you have everything you need. So if you need 3 files and 3 printers, if we don't have them, we say, wait, somebody's using the printer. We have 5 printers, but 3 of them are being used. So one of them became free, you bring it, now we have 3 printers, we give them to you and you say, now you can go, start running. You will never be interrupted. Why? Because you have everything. Why do you stop? You don't stop because you have everything you need, and you will continue until you finish without interruption. That means you don't have to wait. You need 5 resources and we gave them to you. You will never have to wait for another resource. So hold and wait, it's finished. You don't have to say, hey, I need another device. No, we gave you everything. If you need another device and it's not available, you have to wait and you're holding these resources. No, this way we made sure you will never need something else. So you'll not stop and wait based on that. Hold on, I'm going to tell the attendants on, guys. Tell them to come back. Now, okay, so these are a few good questions to make sure you know how to answer them. What's pooling used for, and how to remove hold and wait, how to eliminate it, and how to eliminate those conditions. Maybe circular wait, and any of the other conditions as well. If we cannot remove any of the conditions, there's something called deadlock avoidance. That's avoiding deadlock. Let's avoid the deadlock. What does avoiding mean? It means it can happen, but we'll keep kind of evading it. Try not to let it happen, in essence. We'll make sure, even though if there's a possibility it may happen, but we'll keep avoiding it to the point that it doesn't happen in the system. And how is that done? How do we avoid it? There's an algorithm called Banker's algorithm. Banker's algorithm. So how does Banker's algorithm work? We look now in a second, we get an example in a second of how it works. It's a good idea to do it now, maybe. Yeah, why not? So, and finally, it's just how does it happen? What's required for it to happen? How do we prevent it? How do we avoid it? And if it happens, how do we recover from it? So last thing is deadlock, recovery. How do we solve it after it happens? How do we get out of it? Right, so now what we are left with is avoiding it. And avoiding is if we know a deadlock can happen, but we keep kind of avoiding it until we finish the execution. And one of these computer scientists, he looked at banks and they realized banks are running so smooth all the time. They never have problems. And banks are just like a computer system. They have resources and they have processes that want these resources. In a bank, it has the money and it has people who want to get their hands on that money. And yet they seem to be working all the time. People come in and say, can I have a loan? Here's a loan. And they give hundreds of people loans, so people are paying back, and those who are paying back, they're using them to serve other people or meet the requirements of other people requesting those resources. And same with computer systems. You have lots of processes running, and this one wants 2 files and 5 printers, and another one comes in and say, okay, sorry, you want printers, we don't have one, hold on. And then when the first process finishes with the printer, we can give it to this one. And it's just manipulating and utilizing resources to the best possible way. Sometimes you can have deadlocks, but now they found a way. This guy came up with this technique and said, okay, if we know, let's say you have a number of processes, let's say process 1, process 2, process 3. If we know this process, let's just talk about one resource, but you need a column for every resource we have. Let's just take one resource and talk about it. It's easier to get the idea. Let's say printers. Let's say we're really a printing facility or print house. We do lots of printing. So we have, say, 10 printers. All together, in total, we have a resource, we have 10 printers. Or shall we use the money example first? Yeah, let's use the bank first. Let's say a bank, and a bank has, I don't know, 100,000 or 100 million euros. This bank has 100 million euros. And then people come in and ask for loans, whatever it is. Let's say this one applies for a loan of, first there are a number of rules. You cannot ask for more than what the bank has. The bank has maximum 100,000, 100 million. So if somebody comes up and say, I need 200 million, we say, sorry, we can't even talk with you. We don't have that kind of money. Same with computer systems. So if you have 5 printers, program comes in and says, I need 7 printers. Sorry, that's it. Right from the start, don't run. But this guy here, we can have somebody who says, I need 70 million. Another one says, I need 50 million. Another one says 90 million. Right? The total of what these customers need, way above what the bank has, but not one individual customer. You're not allowed to have one individual customer. So that's one of the first rules. The second rule is that you request the money, just like in a computer system. You say, I need 5 printers, but I don't need them right now. I'm going to open files, read them, and then print, and then finish with the printer or something like that, and then I'm going to, so we don't need them right now, all of them. And that's what banks happen. Banks don't just give, somebody comes up and say, I need 100 million, say, there you are, pay them start paying us next month, and then they disappear. And they say, well, what are you going to do with them? And for example, they say, oh, I'm going to build a factory. Right, where's the land for the factory? I'm going to buy it. Well, first go and show us the land first, and let's just buy the land first, maybe. And then you're going to build it. How much do you need for building? So they don't give you the 100 million. They give you 5 million, and then 7 million, then 20 million, and 5, until you finish your project, and then you start paying back. So it's like the bank is managing how you do it. You want to make sure things don't just disappear. So let's say this guy comes in, when it's been like, got the loan 6 months ago, we approved it, bought the land, got 7 million, 12 or something like that. So at this stage, already gave them 40 million. And how much is still left? 30. So we approved them. This is the total required, and this is what they already received, and this is what's left to finish the loan. And when somebody is building a factory, took 10 million to buy the land, another 10 million to build it, and then 3 million to train the staff, that the staff started paying them and needed to buy material to make the bicycles or whatever it is they're making. Now they have got all the money, then they start selling them, and now they start paying. So they will not start paying you back until they took all the loan, and then they start paying back. And hopefully within a year or 2 or 3, we'll get all the money back. Okay, so that's how banks work. So let's carry on with the bank, and we do pretty much the same thing on computers. This guy, the 10, he's already got 10, but he still has 40 million left. This just started 2 months ago. So we approved them for 50, but we've already given them the 10. You might come back and say, give me 4 more millions, I need to do something, or 20 or 40. You can come tomorrow and say, I need 40. And with this one here, again, let's say that 20 and still need 70. So how much money is out right now? This is the total paid now is 40 and 10 and 20. That's a total of 70. We have a total of 100 altogether. We've already paid 70 million. How much is left with the bank? We only have left at the bank 30 million. If this guy comes tomorrow and say, can I have the rest of my money that I need it now? We say, we can't give it. We have to say, you have to wait. We don't have 70 million today. This guy also, but that guy, yeah, we might be able to accommodate that guy. So if that guy tomorrow comes in and say, can I have, the 30 million? There, we just barely have that. And then we have no more money in the bank. But hopefully that guy will finish everything and will pay us back. So they say the bank can be in either of 2 positions, either a safe position or unsafe. Unsafe, it's bad. It's going to lead to a deadlock. Imagine if the bank only had 10 million left. Just imagine. They cannot, if this guy comes and say, give me 30 million, and say, we don't have it, this guy, we cannot accommodate anybody. And if we cannot accommodate everybody, then we are in trouble. The bank is in trouble. Because none of these guys are going to pay you back until they get all the money first to finish their project, then to start paying us. So if the bank finds itself in a situation where it only has 20 million left, that's a bad situation, because none of these guys will be able to come and take the rest of the money, and therefore they'll never pay us back. So that will be unsafe situation for the bank. The bank might have to go and borrow something, but we assume these are the resources. In a computer, I can't say I'm going to borrow a couple of pillars. Right? So if we get into an unsafe state, so I just want you to know what is an unsafe state. If we can not clear everybody in the bank, if we cannot pay everybody, not one, everybody. We usually start with the one that needs the least. If we can't pay that, then we won't be able to pay the others. But if we can clear them all, then we are in a safe state. Now, are we in a safe state or a deadlock state? We don't know. We can only clear one. But no, safe states, that means all can be cleared. Can we or not? And this is what now we need to work out. You might get a situation, question like this. Could be a bank, it could be a computer system. Is this system in a safe state now or not? We know if it's unsafe, that means it's going to have a deadlock, finished. We want our system to always be in a safe state. If somebody comes up and says, can I have some more money? We pretend we give them the money and see, does that turn our system into unsafe? If it does, well then we say, sorry, we can't give you the money now, you have to wait. Every time one of these guys requests some money, let's say this guy comes up and say, remember we have 30, how much do we have now? 30. If this guy comes up and say, can I have 20? We have 20. Should we give it to them or not? First, let's prove that our system now is in a safe state. What's a safe state again? If we can accommodate everybody. All the resources, we can accommodate them. How can we accommodate everybody? We only have 30. This is how it works. If this guy comes up, this is the way. Well, let's look for the ones we can finish the loan. If we give first our 30 to give it to this one, imagine this one we gave it 30. That's it. This user will get all the resources, has got all the resources, now finish building the bank or whatever factory or project they have, now they're going to start paying us back. And they pay us back all the money. So we give them 30, will bring us back 70. Now we have 70 after this guy pays us back. Can we accommodate any of these two guys? Yeah, we can accommodate any one of them. Let's give this guy, out of the 70, let's give this guy, imagine the following day, this guy says, I need all my money. This is what we look at. In order, can we finish everybody? Yeah, the 70 will pay this guy 40, and when we pay them 40, they come back, they will pay us back 50. So 70 minus 40 is 30, and bring back 50, that's 80. Then we're going to have 80 once this guy finishes. We give this guy 70, so we have 10 left, but then this guy will bring us back 90, and that's a total of 100. So yes, we can, right now, at this situation, we can start at each one of them, but we can finish them all. And if we can accommodate everybody's request, full request, and we finish them all, then the system is in a safe state. Now, let's look at another situation. So you need to be able to go through each one of those and finish them all. And you can say, yeah, our system is safe. Now, let me look at another situation just to see if this is, let's say this guy comes up and say, I need 20 million. This is now the situation we're in. This guy comes up and say, I need 20 million. Should we give them the 20 million? Okay, let's pretend we gave him the money, and then we see if our bank, right now it's safe. After we give him the 20 million, is our bank going to remain safe or not? Let's look at that. If we give this guy 20, how much will we have left? Then we'd have given out, on top of the 70, we've given out 90. We have 10 left, 10 million. This guy needed 70, but we give him 20, now it needs only 50 million remaining. So instead of 70 now, it's going to be only 50. Right? It was 70, but now we give him 20 million. So he needs to come back for 50. These guys didn't change. Now, that's what happened now to the system. If we gave them 20, is the system now going to be safe or not if we approve this loan? So if we approve it, now what's left is 30, 40, and 50. Doesn't matter. Can we accommodate any of them? We have 10 million. If this guy comes tomorrow and says, I need the rest of my money. No, we cannot accommodate that. Can we accommodate this one? No. Or this one? No. Then the system suddenly has gone into an unsafe state. And therefore, we should not, this is why we avoid, it's called avoiding. If this guy comes up and says, can I have 20? We say, no, sorry, we cannot give it to you. Why? Because if we give it to you, our system will go unsafe. So we're going to bring back the system the way it was. We have 30 million, and we cannot give you that money that you asked for. Okay? But if this guy comes up and asks for 20, should we give it? Okay, let's look. Is our system going to be safe? This guy instead of 30, we give him 20. So he's going to be left with 10 because we'd have given them, out of the 70, we've given them 60, right? So now we gave him 40. Or no, we gave him 40, and sorry, it would have received 40, and if we give them another 20, that will be 60. But then our bank now no longer only has 10, and out of the 70, we don't have. Okay, so we paid 60, 70, 90. Okay, do you get this? If this guy comes and say, give me 20, this is what happens. We give them an extra 20, so he's left. We gave him 40 in the past, now we gave him 60. So instead of 30 left, he only has 10 left, and that we have that. That's how, if we approve the 20 for user A, that's what the bank is going to be in a situation. Is this a safe situation? Is the bank in a safe state? Can we accommodate everybody? Let's see, we only have 10 million. Okay, we can accommodate the first one, and if we finish all the money that this guy gets, if we give the 10 to this one, then he will bring us back 70, and 70 can be used to pay this one, and bring us back 90, and the 90 can be used to pay the 40 here, and it'll bring us 50, and that brings back the system in a safe state. So yes, this request is approved, because it does not turn back into an unsafe state. Okay, we'll talk about it more at the next time, but that is kind of problems that you'd be getting. But there is resources instead of money. Thank you.